Thank you, Tom. That's one of those introductions, as the saying goes, that my father would have enjoyed and my mother would have believed. I'm going to use my technology here today. So Neera asked me to start today with my views about the mission and work of CAP. And as I was pondering how to explain my perspective on CAP, I went to the website and reviewed our mission statement. So let me read it to you. It says that we believe America is a land of boundless opportunity, where people can better themselves, their children, their families, and their communities through education, hard work, and the freedom to climb the ladder of economic mobility. We believe an open and effective government can champion the common good over narrow self-interest, harness the strength of our diversity, and secure the rights and safety of its people. And we believe our nation must always be a beacon of hope and strength to the rest of the world. We are idealistic enough to believe change is possible and practical enough to make it happen. I couldn't say it better than that, so I'm not going to try. CAP's mission, I believe, is vital, and its role in our nation's life is indispensable. We all owe a debt of gratitude to John Podesta, Neera Tandon, the entire CAP team, many of whom are in this room here. When you get a chance to see them over the course of the day, please offer your thanks to them for their entrepreneurship, getting this thing started, leadership in this town, commitment, compassion, pragmatism, action, and especially for me, for their friendship. So thank you for all the CAP people here, for everything that you do. Today, in pursuit of our mission, we're going to hear from the progressive leaders of today and tomorrow, and it's my role to get us started by introducing Julian Castro. Now, as I was thinking about this, I don't think I've ever introduced someone who's more than 20 years younger than me. I try to embrace new experiences, but I must admit that some come easier than others. All the accolades heaped upon Julian, and there are many, remark on his youth. In 2001, he was the youngest city councilor ever elected in San Antonio. In 2009, he was the youngest person ever elected mayor of a major U.S. city. And in 2014, he became the youngest secretary in the history of HUD. This reminds me of another rising star in the Democratic Party of my generation named Larry Summers, who was hailed at one of his birthday parties as the youngest person ever to turn 40. Well, I think Julian bested Larry on that one because Julian, I think, is the youngest person ever to turn 35. And certainly is the only 35-year-old I've ever known who had more than 1,000 people to his birthday party. Fortunately for us, Julian is one of a new generation of leaders fighting to expand opportunity for every American. In his 3 terms as mayor, Julian Castro revitalized downtown San Antonio, led a referendum to raise property taxes to pay for early childhood education, brought new businesses and workforce development to the city, and used innovative programs to encourage more teens to pursue a higher education. At the helm of HUD, Secretary Castro has continued to work to improve social mobility and to give every American an opportunity to thrive. He has been a champion for safe, affordable housing in neighborhoods with good jobs and quality schools. In the wake of the Great Recession and the crash of the housing market, Secretary Castro has worked to help more Americans stay in their homes and reduce homelessness among veterans. Very important task. And he's fought to make our communities more sustainable and resilient, also extraordinarily important. Like another young progressive I had the good fortune to meet early in his career, Barack Obama, Julian brings a fresh perspective to age-old debates. To quote an article about him in the New York Times, quote, Castro is a pragmatist, sometimes unpredictably so. He supports free trade, advocates an energy policy that includes fossil fuels, and believes in balanced budgets. Like a large plurality of his fellow San Antonians, he is Roman Catholic, but he was the first San Antonio mayor to be Grand Marshal of the annual Gay Rights Parade, and he is pro-choice. Quote, the Pope and I have to disagree on that one, he says with a smile. So I thought, though I met him for the first time today, I just know it's going to be great fun to watch his career unfold. It's my pleasure to welcome to the stage a champion and an inspiration to the progressive movement, Secretary Julian Castro.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Glenn, for that introduction. I especially want to thank Glenn for knowing the difference between my brother Joaquin and me. As y'all might imagine, I've been here in D.C. about 4 months now, and I get called congressman at least 5 times a day. My brother Joaquin is in his first term of Congress representing the 20th Congressional District of Texas, which is the main San Antonio district, and he likes to introduce himself by telling folks that the way to tell us apart is that I'm a minute uglier than he is. Of course, we're twins, and the real difference is that here in D.C., I'm the brother with a better and the real job. It's just a joke. But seriously, I want to thank CAP's president, Neera Tanden, for her incredible leadership, as well as your chair, former Senator Tom Daschle, and all the members of the board of CAP for their distinguished service. And of course, I want to thank the entire team at the Center for American Progress for the extraordinary work that y'all do each and every day, and for the vision of this organization. For more than a decade, you have truly been an incredible source of ideas, of insight, and most importantly, of solutions that are making a difference. I thank you for those contributions, and I want to also thank you for the invitation to be here. Like you, I know that government is not a dirty word. I also know that we should not apologize for working hard to effectively help folks to reach their dreams. Oftentimes these days, I feel the blessing of the opportunity that I have had in my own life. I think about a day more than 20 years ago now when my brother Joaquin and I, as 17-year-olds, on April 3rd, 1992, went to the mailbox in excitement and got a college admission packet from Stanford University. We were glad that it was a packet and not a letter, because it meant that we had gotten in. And we opened up the packet that day with my mother and my grandmother that we were growing up with. We were so happy that we had gotten in to college, and more than that, gotten into Stanford. We'd never seen the university, been on a plane one time before that in our lives. And then a couple of weeks later, we got the bill. And that wasn't such a happy day. At that time, the university cost between $27,000 and $28,000 for folks to attend. And there was no way that my mother, who in 1991, when we applied for college, had made just under $20,000, or my grandmother, who was making several $100s a month in a Social Security check, could possibly afford to send the two of us to the school of our dreams. And I know that the only reason that I am able to stand up here with a good education in tow is that I worked hard and my family worked hard, but also Americans worked hard together for us. There were Pell Grants and Perkins loans and Stafford loans and federal work study. I believe, like I bet you do, that this nation has been at its best when it expects hard work from individuals and from families, but also when it rewards that hard work with opportunity. I think of HUD as the Department of Opportunity because of the unique role that we play in the life of our nation. Nearly 50 years ago, when he signed the HUD Act into law, President Lyndon Johnson said that our work could give, quote, every family a home of dignity, a neighborhood of pride, a community of opportunity, and a city of hope. A house, an abode, a dwelling, a home, whatever we want to call it, isn't just a place where folks live their lives. It's a springboard from which they can reach their dreams. And over the last 3.5 months, I've visited communities from Alabama to Alaska, and I've seen with my own eyes the profound difference that we make. From helping folks in the Northeast rebuild after Hurricane Sandy, to holding lenders accountable when they discriminate against women who are expecting a child, to addressing poverty by turning problems into promise in neighborhoods across the country. We strive at HUD every single day to build on this progress. And even in this political environment that we find ourselves in, we won't waver from this commitment. We understand that housing isn't a Republican or a Democratic issue, a liberal or conservative one, but it really is an American issue. And more than that, it's a concern of humanity. And we ought to use it as an instrument of opportunity. The first way that we can do that is by connecting the more than 5 million households that we serve to economic opportunity, to jobs. There are some who believe that folks who live in public or subsidized housing are lazy. I couldn't disagree more. Many low-income Americans already work, as you know, and the vast majority of those who aren't working want to find a job. That's why our Family Self-Sufficiency Initiative is so important. Every year, we connect roughly 70,000 residents with the education and job opportunities they need to increase their income and establish savings, while decreasing their need for rental assistance. This work is helping folks like Shia, a mother from Massachusetts. When she was a young adult, she made mistakes, like many young adults do. But as she told us, you can always start again. I want to leave something for my children. Shia enrolled in our initiative and graduated from college this past May and bought a home of her own. And really, in our nation, in this year, 2014, in our America, that's the way that things ought to work. Housing should give every person the chance to start again and to break the cycle of poverty for the next generation. That's why we want to bolster our work with an effort we call the Jobs Plus pilot program. Working with the Department of Labor, Jobs Plus would build a community of support to assist residents as they move toward economic independence. We've requested $25 million for the effort in this fiscal year as part of the most recent budget request. We're looking to Congress for its support because when every person has a chance to thrive, our nation thrives. And that serves everyone's interests. We believe that success should be a product of talent and of hard work, not just luck. And as Shia said, let's strive to give everyone, regardless of their circumstances, a chance to start again. Expanding opportunity also means helping homeless Americans find a permanent place to call home, especially those who served our country. These brave men and women have risked so much to protect our country and the ideals for which it stands. They were there for us when we needed them, and as they return to our shores, we have a responsibility to return the favor. For HUD, this means ensuring that every veteran has a roof over his or her head. In 2010, nearly 75,000 veterans didn't have a place to call home. That was a national tragedy, which is why President Obama launched Opening Doors, the first federal strategic effort to prevent and end homelessness in the United States, including among veterans. This work is making a profound difference in our country. One former Marine that we helped told us that on his first day in his new apartment, he got on his knees and he prayed. He said, quote, "My future is brighter and I live like a human being again." These outcomes are occurring across the country. Over the last 4 years, we've reduced the number of homeless veterans by 33%. This success needs to be replicated. The President has requested an additional $75 million for HUD-VASH, the program that combines our housing choice vouchers, rental assistance, with services from the Department of Veteran Affairs. This funding can go a long way in ending homelessness among veterans by the end of next year. Furthermore, we support legislation that will make tribal communities eligible for this assistance. Last month, I had the opportunity to visit Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, as well as Turtle Mountain in South Dakota and North Dakota, respectively. Yet I have to say, it was an eye-opening experience. I learned that our nation's tribal communities include a higher than average percentage of veterans among their residents. These are heroes who served with the same honor and distinction as their fellow service members. They should have the same opportunity to get back on their feet as everyone else does. However, under current law, they are ineligible to receive HUD-VASH vouchers in tribal communities. We must change this. There are legislative efforts taking place to do just this, and I believe that this is one spot where we can all work together to achieve something good. A third way we're using housing as a platform is by helping folks secure their financial future by increasing access to affordable housing. What we see out there is a rental affordability crisis in communities throughout the United States. Right now, half of renters spend at least 30% of their income on rent, which is an all-time high. I have to say on a personal note that I've had a front row seat to this in this city of Washington, D.C. over the last few months. What it means is that Americans have less to pay off their student debts, less to support their children, less to save for retirement. The equation is simple. A lack of affordable housing leads to a lack of economic security for the American people. Even worse, this crisis comes at a time when our public housing stock is falling apart. The nation is losing 10,000 units of public housing every year, mainly due to disrepair. Worse yet, funding from Washington continues to decrease, and communities are wondering how they can preserve their public housing in a tough fiscal climate. The answer for many of them is HUD's Rental Assistance Demonstration Initiative, which is also known as RAD. This is a measure that has been supported by Republicans and Democrats. Created in 2012 under my predecessor, Sean Donovan, RAD helps housing authorities and owners of assisted housing convert long-term Section 8 contracts. This allows them to better leverage private debt and equity to improve their properties. It's not the privatization of affordable housing, it's the preservation of affordable housing with ultimate public ownership preserved as well. RAD is cost neutral for the federal government, and it's making a big difference in places like Evanston, Illinois. A few weeks ago, local leaders broke ground on 2 decaying developments that are housing seniors. An 81-year-old resident named Louise Mayfield said that during the 15 years she's lived in her apartment, she, quote, never had paint on her wall, never had anything done to her apartment. The floor is real bad, and so is the plumbing. Now, thanks to RAD, those apartments are getting upgrades, from the cabinets to the roofs. And Louise said that it feels like Christmas. Communities across the country want to be able to deliver the same results through rental assistance demonstration. At HUD, we've received applications to convert over 180,000 units through RAD. But we're in danger of losing momentum because our current authority is limited to 60,000 units. And so we've asked Congress to lift the cap in our fiscal year 2015 budget. We know that the affordable housing crisis is growing out there. We also know that RAD is part of the solution, which is why Capitol Hill must take action, and swiftly. Together, we can give everyone, young and old, a decent place to rent. And once they bolster their financial situation, then we've got to make sure that they can transition from renter to homeowner. Homeownership is a platform to build wealth and to strengthen communities. But right now, this dream is out of reach for too many Americans. Some believe that a few years ago it was too easy to get a home loan. Today, it's clear that it's too hard. In fact, according to the Urban Institute, the housing market is missing out on 1.2 million loans every year because credit is so tight. And think about all those who are losing out. The millennial generation came of age during the economic crisis, burdened with incredible student debt. One of the reasons why the home ownership rate among folks under 35 has reached historic lows. Another group often being shut out are communities of color, with lending to minorities at a 14-year low today. All of us must address this. With the creation of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and other actions, the administration has already implemented historic safeguards to prevent another crisis. Now, we've got to move forward by increasing opportunity for those who are ready and responsible to own. HUD is taking action through our Federal Housing Administration. We've launched a blueprint for access that works with both borrowers and lenders to get credit moving responsibly. And we've taken actions to strengthen FHA so that it can continue to work with underserved communities for generations to come. On Monday, we announced that its fund has grown by $21 billion in value over the last 2 years. And at FHA, we want to help responsible families become homeowners. We know that the pendulum has swung from one extreme to the other and needs to be placed where it belongs, with checks and balances right in the middle. And we'll continue to work until this dream reaches everyone who's ready, regardless of where they come from and what they've been through. That's what opportunity is about. Folks don't just expect government to solve all their problems, but they want a fair chance to succeed. At the corner of 7th and E Southwest, in the Robert Weaver Building, and among our 8,500 employees at HUD, we give them that chance every day. And we'll work with anyone, Democrat, Republican, Independent, to make it happen. Of course, we know that, like anything in this town, to be successful, it'll take compromise. And that's okay. Progress doesn't require perfection. But on the other hand, we will never compromise on our ideals. It must never come at the expense of the most vulnerable Americans. The folks HUD serves aren't lazy, they aren't takers, they aren't an afterthought. They are people with the same hopes and aspirations as everyone else. They need the opportunity and the means to achieve their dreams, and it's our responsibility as one American community to help each of them get there. As Americans, we know that we're not prisoners of fate. With the power of our ideas and the passion of our ideals, we can shape a better tomorrow. As long as folks who are working full-time are living in poverty, we've got to act. As long as families need access to affordable housing, we have to act. And as long as children's futures are being limited because of the zip code they come from, we've got to act. As long as opportunity reaches some and not all, we will act. And in the years to come, we will succeed. Thank you.